Huh. See, now that is a start. Welcome, everyone, to my little golden nuggets, as I like to call them, my interviews with my go-to experts, those incredible people I have met and I want to talk to so you can hear what they've got to say. You can hear the, get the golden nuggets. You can get those light bulb moments. So if we've not met before, my name is Lindsay Burden and I'm an intuitive business coach and I work with women. I also work with men. It's a lesser known fact, inspiring, guiding and motivating them to create wildly successful businesses in a time-rich lifestyle. But enough about me, because today I get the pleasure of talking to Ashley Griffiths. I had to check your surname because, I only, when you go networking and you meet people, you just use first names, don't you?
Very true.
Ashley, also known as Ash, and he says I can call him either, which is good because I'm probably just going to alternate back and forth now, aren't I, Ash? But before we get talking, I always ask everyone for a little introduction. I loved your introduction that you wrote for me. So here we go. Ash is your video and confidence coach. He loves seeing cringes turn to smiles as his clients get confident on camera. Now I love this bit, Ash. I like this bit. So videos helped you during the pandemic when you got bored out of your mind, staring at the four walls and talking to Casper. And before I go any further, is Casper dog, cat?
No, it's a friendly ghost.
Friendly. I haven't. You see, people, well, I've got no idea where this is going to go. Okay, but you realized that it was a way to speak to people and express yourself. And I guess what you're telling me here is that you were having loads of fun. And people started to say, wow, wow, Ash, you are so confident on camera, followed by, I could never do that. Cue, light bulb moment for you, and the business was born. And you describe it as a happy accident, but it felt like a natural extension of your years in the classroom and management. When you're not working, you can find Ash supping coffee with a good book in his hand. And he's more than happy if the coffee shop is also in a different country, nomadic soul that you are. Black coffee for you, and if you want to see a grown man cry, say you like pumpkin spiced latte. I'm with you. What is that
It's
about?
wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. Whoever thought that was a good idea, shame on you.
Makes
Shame on you.
makes no sense. Now, what I haven't mentioned so far, Ash, is that your business name is Loudly Proudly.
Yes, absolutely. I'm loudly, proudly against pumpkin spice lattes.
Yeah. And you did panic me slightly because obviously, you're normally on the other side,
I
leading the
am.
conversations, your podcast and everything. And you said, it was quite nice to sit on the other side. And then I went into a complete panic going, oh my goodness, gonna have to up my game. But this is just supposed to be a conversation, you and I having a bit of fun. So what is it you love about video? Why is video so important? And why do we need to get more confident?
Wow. Why do I love videos?
Yeah.
Because they are a true expression of yourself.
Yeah.
And it's so easy, I think, in the online world to hide behind an image, a
Yeah.
job title,
Yeah, it's true.
an avatar, filters, call it what you will. There's so many places to hide. And when you get on video, a lot of that is removed. It is you. And you get to show people who you are, what
Yeah.
you're about. You give them a true glimpse of what they're letting
Yeah,
themselves in for if they work with you.
absolutely.
Um, that's certainly the way I show up on in my videos. I'm like, this is me. This is the humorous side. This is the serious side. You'll get to see both sides of that. I think for me, it's the first step of a conversation. It's
Mm.
a first it's an intro to someone. It's to show somebody that, hey, oh look, there's actually a human behind that brand or behind
Yeah.
that lovely headshot on LinkedIn. You know, there's actually a real life human being that is talking in my language.
But I actually think you've hit the nail on the head there and why people struggle with it so much because they feel that they have to be something else. They feel
Yeah.
that they've got to be professional and it's got to, for women, it's like full makeup and I've got to have my hair done. Is that, oh, and actually men may feel like that as well, I don't
Yeah, I'm always doing
know.
my hair.
Always, and it looks lovely today,
Oh,
Max.
thank you.
So for me, I think that's the big problem, isn't it? We all think that we have to show up as somebody different to who we really are, and we don't
Yep.
allow ourselves to be who we are.
No, we don't. I mean, there's a huge fear of judgment when
Yeah.
it comes to that. And that is both internal and external. So
Yeah.
you're kind of projecting kind of like your expectations for how you should be showing up based on your job role, based on the industry you're in. And that is obviously fueled by what you see outside, the way people are showing up, the historical narratives of how you should show up as a insert job title. But my question to everybody is always, how do you show up when you're working with people? How
Yeah.
do you show up on Zoom calls when you're at networking? Are you always dressed up? Do you always do your makeup? Do you always have your hair immaculate? Some people, yes, that's their jam. Then go for it. But a
Yeah.
lot of people, it's not. It's not. They'll just turn up with their clients and they'll be in their PJs and they're all good with that because that's them. They're not hiring somebody for how they look. They're hiring someone for the results they can get them. So it's like if you show up constantly online as a dialed up version of yourself, or you're always like really immaculate, and then I get on a Zoom with you, I actually get on a Zoom with you, or I meet you face to face, and you are not what I am seeing online,
Mm,
that causes a massive disconnect, and that disconnect can impact trust from day one.
yeah. But you've actually mentioned a couple of things with there around that sort of judgment, that internal and
Yeah.
external judgment. So we have to get over our own selves.
Yes.
And there's a part of me that wants to say, and actually don't care what anyone else says, because we're always going to resonate with the right people if
Absolutely.
we show up with honesty, integrity, and authenticity. So actually, you can't turn off the wrong people, I don't think.
No, not at all. I think again, one thing we have to remember is we will not always be for everybody. It's
Correct.
just one of those things. We will never be everyone's cup of tea.
And that's okay.
And it's perfectly okay, you know. Are you wanting to talk to everybody? No, of course you're not. You've got a specific kind of people that you like hanging out with, you like working with, that you have a business set up to support. So speak to those people. What are you trying to get validation for from people that ultimately will have no impact on your life and you will have no impact on theirs, you know, directly anyway. Indirectly, you might through the people that you work with,
Yeah.
but you're not trying to appeal to them. You're not trying to speak to them. They probably won't get it. They won't get your vibe. They won't get your energy. They won't get your messages. So why even bother? But a lot of people feel like, well, if you know, if people don't like me, then that will be like a big problem. And showing up on social media, showing up on video it is challenging for that fact, you know, it's once the ego gets going and the narrative and that internal chatter gets going, it's very easy to dial things down or not even turn things on. It's
Yeah.
very, very easy to go down that route because you do fear that maybe people within your industry will call you out, will say, who the hell's this idiot representing our industry? Especially if you're more quirky and a bit wacky,
Yeah.
um, a weirdo, whatever it is that you, whatever vernacular you like to use around that
All the people that
subject.
we really like.
Exactly. Big shout out to the weirdos out
Yes,
there.
we love you.
We
Quirkier
love
the
you.
better.
Absolutely. You know, but a lot of those people won't show up with that because they'll feel it's too much.
Mm.
Will people judge them? Will people take them seriously? Are they going to be deemed professional because they've got a different approach, that they dress up a different way? They've got a unique style.
Yeah, and Hands up, actually. So my business is 10 years young, and I look back at, I've got a different website now, but if I look back at some of the original blogs I wrote, it was quite like, I've got to show up and it's got to be quite stiff and everything. And it felt really unnatural. So my writing was unnatural. And then I kind of learned my way to write like
Hmm.
that. And then it became easier, but there was still that disconnect. And it's about being true to yourself. Because actually there was a point where it started to get easier and I was, my own little quirkiness was coming out. And now I just don't really care. Now it's like, well, this is who I am, and you're either going to love me or hate me. But that takes time, I think.
Oh yeah.
And it's a confidence thing. There was something else you said a moment ago, and I was thinking about that persona. We all have those professional images taken, those professional headshots which appear everywhere. And it's quite, get a really good photographer that can capture your quirkiness, because otherwise you're right about that disconnect. And we talk about, from a marketing perspective, about consistency of brands and messaging,
Yeah.
but that applies to us as well, doesn't it? As the individual.
Oh, absolutely. It totally applies to us that what is it you're trying to display? And also from that point, I think it's about owning who you are and owning your gifts. A lot of people don't spend a lot of time on this. Again, they're influenced maybe by the external, that I need to be such a way. I need
Yeah.
to show up. And it's instead of actually looking and shining a light themselves and saying, right, what is it that I actually can do? What gifts do I have? What are my strengths? And actually owning them instead of feeling embarrassed about them.
Yeah.
The amount of people that are embarrassed to even answer that question, what are your strengths? I don't know. It's like, no, 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 no. Let's think about this. What things can you do? Okay, if you're just maybe if you are a little bit worried about answering that question personally, okay, let's go and have a look at your reviews. Let's go and look at your testimonials. Let's go and speak to your ex-colleagues, your family, your friends, because there'll be things that you do, there'll be ways that you approach things that are so unique, and people appreciate those things. But a lot of the time we would kind of dial it down because, well, all those influencers on Insta or LinkedIn is showing up this way, so I've got to do that. Well, you do that, but you become a cardboard cutout.
Yeah, and actually it's unnatural. And I always say when anything is unnatural, the energy's not there and you don't attract any, you don't attract clients, you don't attract money, you don't attract opportunities. So actually we have to stay true to ourselves. But
Absolutely.
I think if I could and this isn't on your notes, but I was just thinking about, if I could get any message across, anyone's going, okay, I need to do more video. I mean, don't think that even those that do it regularly are ultra confident. I
Yeah.
am way more confident talking to someone and I would go, right, I must do a video on my own.
Yeah. It's
Mm,
it's
mm.
strange.
So it's even for those that look natural, it's because they've kept doing it, they've kept trying, and it's just in practice. And I remember listening to a podcast. It was one of the big American podcast hosts, and she was laughing and she said she'd been listening to some of her first podcasts and they were awful. She
Yeah.
said, of course they are, because everyone has to start somewhere.
I think the challenge, the issue a lot of people have is people see you where you are now. So like take me for example. They'll see me on camera now and go, "Oh, you're so natural. You're so you're so confident on camera. It comes easy for you." And I was like, "Well, it does now."
Yeah.
You're talking to well, I was going to say a retired shy person. I am still quite shy. The introvert in me sometimes is like, nah, I don't want to talk to people. But generally, I make a point of saying and sharing as well. I often splice in. So you think that you can just do it like that? Let's go and have a look and see what this guy was like 3 years ago. Like completely awkward on camera. And I'm actually at the moment I'm doing a kind of in the videos I've got I create characters, and I'm trying to get this guy called Steve, who's a paperclip seller from Basingstoke, who's like the quintessential corporate stuffy LinkedIn dude, to take the broom from out of his ass and to actually like show some personality. So I've created this whole series around that. And at the moment, I'm failing miserably, but I am working on him, and I will convert Steve. But ultimately, it really is about putting in those reps, finding your, like you said with your writing, it takes that time, you know, when you're new to this, if you're coming out the corporate world and you're starting a business and you're going on Insta or LinkedIn or Facebook, whatever, or TikTok even, and you're going on there and you're seeing all of these like people that seem to have it all together, they're all on it, they're confident, they're getting likes out of just by saying, hello, my name is
Yeah.
Ashley. Bing, 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 bing. Oh, inspirational. Thanks for sharing all of that crap. Like, they were once in a place where like where they didn't have that confidence, where they didn't know what they were doing, and
Yeah,
they
and
figured
quite
it out
like
by doing the reps.
and quite likely no longer do it on their own, you know. And I always
A
think
lot of them, yeah.
there's a particular social media person who's very, very vocal. And I think, yeah, it's easy for you to say because you've probably got someone that looks after Instagram, looks after YouTube, looks after, you know. So you're starting at the beginning and be okay with that. So be okay with trying, be okay by, you know, keep that you need to keep practicing.
That's
And, you know,
super important.
that it's going to be probably, you know, I wouldn't say rubbish because actually, when we think something is rubbish, often that's not how it's perceived or that's not how it's been received. I know I've done stuff before and messaged people afterwards and gone, I did not feel that I was on my A game. That didn't feel right. And they went, it was brilliant.
Yeah, but you did it, and you knew your message. You
Yeah.
knew what you were
Yeah.
doing,
I knew what I had to say.
and what you had to say was stuff that people didn't know.
Yeah. I
So, I
just
mean, I've
wasn't as
had,
sparkly as normal, I
well,
think.
I totally get that. I mean, I've been in that as well. You know, I've delivered things where the delivery was absolutely spot on when I've done workshops, when I've done videos where it was just the magic is there. The energy was there. My sinuses weren't playing up that day. I was completely in the bloody zone. And the room was feeding off that. You know, the people in the room were like just up for it. So you just feed off that. And there's other times where it does feel like to a certain extent you're dialing it in a little bit for whatever reason,
Yeah.
but ultimately, it's your message that will always carry that through. And if you believe in your message, your vibe will carry it through, even if you're not totally feeling it that day.
That's
And
it.
even though if you believe, whether you're being harsh on yourself or not, that you can do better, that the fact that you've shown up with a message you believe in and a message that people give a shit about,
Yeah.
ultimately that's what will carry you through for sure.
I had another thought there and another tip, but it's gone, which happens to me sometimes. It's my age, Ash. It's my age. Um, there was a. I always ask my guests for sort of 3 points, and I really do feel that you covered the power of video and that connection that video creates. And I've remembered what the point was because it links to video and connection. um, and now it's gone again. See, I should have written it down. Ash,
Ah, I
thoughts
even
like they come in and they go out,
it happens. It happens.
which
I
is
even
normally why I have a pen in my hand because I write it down.
oh, I'm with you. I did exactly the same in my podcast this morning. I was like, I started kind of going off on one about like on a point, and I was like, and I've got no idea where I was going with that.
But did you manage to bring it back round?
Well,
Or did you just,
I changed the subject.
yeah. And that's the power of video, isn't it? You know, nobody else
Absolutely.
knows what you were going to say, how you're going to say it, how you're going to deliver it. And I've don't speak, Gash, don't speak. I've remembered. The point is you're only ever talking to the one person. And I think that can freak people out. You can, yeah, unzip. That can freak people out, isn't it? When you're going out, oh, but I'm talking to all these people and they'll be out there. Actually, the only person you're ever speaking to is the one person that's watching at that time. And that's the same when we write blogs or copy or anything. And that actually really helped me to come back to my true self when I was writing blogs. I was like, hang on a minute, who do I want to speak to? Who is that one person that's reading it? And I think that can take away some of the edge of panic when you do video? You're
Massively,
only talking to
massively.
one person.
Oh, massively, because you know, say for example, when you do start recording videos. So right now we're doing this via Zoom, but we're getting feedback, and we need that as humans. We need that feedback from the verbal or the non-verbal. We need that. It's important. It's part of how we communicate as a species. You don't have that when you're doing a pre-recorded video.
No.
So you need to change. So that's where the mindset kind of kicks in. And when you've got that individual in mind, that person you want to talk to in mind, you've got them clearly in your vision. You're like, okay, I know that person. I know what they look like. I know what they're feeling right now. And it could even be someone you've worked with. It could be a former client. Hell, it could even be your past self. Whatever it is that you want to bring that person into the room. And the way that I got much more confident on camera, and this was an absolute game changer for me, was I literally brought them into the room and I placed them right in front of the camera. They sat right in front of the lens, and I am not taking my eyes off them because I know that they need to hear this
Mm,
and they're ready to
that's
hear it. So that's what I kind of did. And that like I've got a really active imagination. So I was able to do that. For some people, they might need visual cues or visual aids to do that, whatever it is. But when you've got that person in mind and you know that they're going to hear it, that they need to hear it, all of a sudden you're not telling you, well, this is strange. I'm talking to myself. Who cares? No one will care. No one will care. Why am I doing this? I'm a loser. I'm this. And all the bloody narratives that can
yeah.
come with that. You're talking to someone, they need to hear it.
It's interesting you should say that because tell me I've got to do a Facebook Live and I don't even care if anyone is there watching. I know they're there, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I can rock out a Facebook Live, no notes, no nothing. I'm there. There is an energy to it. And then I go, right, I need to record something for my channel. And suddenly I go, I'm like, "Mm." But for that very, very reason, yeah. Who am I talking to? Oh, it's the cat. It's that kind of thing. Who wants to hear me? But actually, what you've just shared there is a great tip for me. And I might have, it's that bringing them in, putting them in front of me and talking to them because then I have that audience. And because that's what I actually thrive off is that interaction. It's why I love delivering, keynotes and stuff because you can watch the room and you can read the room and you can
Yeah.
see the nods and the little eyebrows going up. That's what used to feed me to deliver live. So that then was quite a shift, but that's a great tip. I'm going to use that. Now, you had another tip. Yeah. Top tip by Ash, written down by Lindsay. I'll have to write it down because I will forget. Um, Actually, no, when you get tips like that, you do not forget them because that was gold.
Scribble it down, scribble it down,
Yeah,
scribble
I
it
won't
down.
forget it. Fear not. You wrote something. So the parrot videos, I think we've done a really good job of talking about. But the next thing you wrote down on here was throwing should in the bin.
Hmm. Yeah,
Is it that
absolutely.
I should be doing video? I should try video. I should.
Well, just throw should in general in life in the bin because the moment you introduce that word, it's just so like, just think it, just say it. Just say a sentence with the word should. I should, um, I should not drink so much alcohol at Christmas. I mean, your body language straight away, it becomes all defensive and ugh. You know, the moment that you come from that, you're not in charge. You've got no power there.
Yeah.
Absolutely zero. So it's like when people say to me, I should do videos, and so my answer to that will always be, well, what do you get from doing it? I should be on social media. Okay, what do you get from being on social media? And in the case of some people, when you ask them that question, they'll be like, yeah, it would be a really good idea to do it. Okay, next question would be, do you actually want to do it? Do you
Mm.
actually have the time and the energy to do it? And they're like, well, yeah, I could find the time. And then you kind of get down to where, underneath where that should is. But there is no should here. It's your business, your rules. You do what the hell you want with it. And when it comes to, so let's just say you've got to the position where you're thinking, I'm going to do videos. I would like to do videos. Videos would be helpful for my business. And you're going, well, I should show up this way, or I should talk about these things. Do you have to? Do you need to? Do your people want to even hear about that? I should show up this way. Do you show up that way in your life? Do you show up that way in your practice? Do you show that way when you go networking? If the answer to all these things, well, no, I don't show up, then why the hell are you going to do that in your videos? That video is a representation of you and your business. So there is no should about it. And that goes for absolutely, I'd say
Everything.
absolutely anything in life.
Yeah. And in fact, if you catch yourself, in my head, I've almost written a blog, and then I'm like, well, you can't write. I've done a video, and I'm like, I can't do that because actually, this is your golden nugget. It's that changing the narrative. If you can catch yourself going, I should go, actually, do you know what? I want to have a load of fun doing some videos. I actually would like to just throw myself into social media and see what comes out the other side. If you can change the narrative, and actually that takes the pressure off,
Massively.
if you're still thinking should videos, I just want to do video and have the most fun ever. It takes the pressure off it being perfect, having the right microphone. Because if you think that you should, there's a high chance you're going to spend a lot of time researching the right microphone, the right lighting, and off you'll be lost.
Aye, aye, aye. And the thing is, again, people, this comes back to our good old friend comparisonitis. You know, people all start and think, right, I'm gonna set up a YouTube channel, or I'm gonna start posting short videos on whatever social media platform you're on. And they go on and they see all these people that are already doing it. Now, some of these people are professional videographers. Some of these people do it for a living, as a host, as a podcaster, as a vlogger. They've invested in their money, in the equipment, because it serves them and it helps them with their business, with their particular goal. But for the average business owner who's going to just throw out a live on Facebook once a week, or is going to start a YouTube channel just to get things moving, or they're going to start posting a couple of videos on their social media platform, you've got all the equipment you need already. You have a smartphone. Now, unless that smartphone is 500 years old,
And then
it's
it's
got a
not
good
smart.
enough camera. Yeah, yeah, exactly. If you can play Snake on it, then it's not good enough, for sure. But if you got a modern phone, you have
Yeah.
a good enough camera. If you have a window in your house, you have good enough light. If you're able, if you know, the only equipment I would say you do need to start with is probably a tripod of some description, and they cost like a tenner off Amazon,
Yeah.
just so that you're able to get the camera at eye level, so you're not looking down on people or they're not
Yeah.
looking up your nose. But then if you haven't even got, if you don't want to even do that, or you can't find one you don't know, or you spend 900 hours researching the best bloody tripods, you can literally use that thing you stick your phone in on your car for your sat nav. Stick that on a window, stand in front of it, off you go, job done. Or books. Go old school, prop the bloody thing up on some books.
I've done that before. Prop it
So have
up.
I.
Yeah. And actually, when you do buy the equipment, so I've got a ring light up here because my lighting's really bad in this
Yeah,
particular office. And depending on if the sun's out, I have to pull the blinds out. Then I turn everything on, and it's beautiful lighting. Of course, when it's that mix and
mm,
match. And actually, do you know what? I just decided, well, actually, I do need to have the ring light on, and it makes this
yeah.
side of my forehead really shiny. I'm like, do you know what? I don't care.
Exactly. The lighting, ultimately, people get so hung up on it. I mean, you did raise a good point, like with the ring light. That's another thing that in the case that you just brought up, where ring light is a really good idea, because you don't want your face to be in shadow. You want to be able for people to see your eyes. If you've got, which we could see, what beautiful eyes they are. Here we go. You don't need all the fancy, all singing, bells and whistles. People spend so much bloody time wasting and procrastinating and faffing, thinking they need equipment to get started with. The only reason I've got this mic that I'm using today is because I'm a podcaster.
I know I am a bit jealous of that mic, if I'm honest, is it's bigger than mine. Look,
It's a lovely microphone.
we like that a lot.
But again, I didn't spend a fortune on this because I'm not a professional, you know, I'm not that's not my main job. It needed to be good enough that the audio was good enough to
Good.
be a podcast and it wasn't crackly and crap. So, did
It's
I
interesting.
spend millions of pounds for it? No, I spent 100 quid and just got a good enough version for what I needed.
And that's the point when you're starting out. It's got to be good enough. I interviewed somebody recently who you will know, and they just had their headphone, the phone headphones in. And do you know what? The quality of them is brilliant.
They can be, yeah.
And I have used those myself. And then I've interviewed other people who have got earbuds in. And half the time, one fall, they fall out or all sorts happens. I'm like, but it doesn't matter. It's about getting started, isn't it?
It's about the message.
Mm.
Y You know, it's about getting started, getting those reps in, and you get you know, as you move forwards, will the equipment serve you with what you're trying to do? Yay or nay? You know, in some cases it will, in some cases it won't. It's not essential. It
But don't,
really isn't.
no, and I think what you're saying is don't make the equipment be the reason that you
It's an
don't.
excuse to start with. It's pure and simple. It's an excuse. It's a reason not to do it. It's the same with, "Oh, I haven't got the time."
Or don't get me
That's an
started on that one.
excuse. It's the same when people say, "Well, I'm not an extrovert." That's an excuse. Some of the best speakers and some of the best videos that I see come from introverts. So
And
that's
some
just
of
an
us
excuse.
extroverts aren't confident. So
Absolutely not.
I don't think there is. Yeah, I agree with you. And don't get me started on time.
Oh,
Because you can't
it's
manage time. It just keeps on ticking. You can only manage yourself. You can only choose how to use the time that you have.
exactly that, and the video as well, you know. If you're making a choice ultimately to spend 5 hours to record a 30-second video, that's got nothing to do with time, that's on you. That the fact that that's perfectionism, that's fear of judgment.
I've done
That's
that.
got nothing to do with time.
And I have done that. Not for a
So
30
have
second one. I will admit it was slightly longer than that.
I.
I was like, oh, my God. And in the end, I just went, I'm just going to do this now. And I don't care what it's like. And then, of course, that's usually the best one where you just go, I
Just
am
go
done.
live. Again, I think that's a good example as well. I think for me, that was another thing with there was 2 things that changed my delivery massively overnight, effectively. 1, having that person in the room,
Yeah.
and 2, going live.
Mm.
Because there's no do-overs, is there? It's like, imagine you go to a presentation or a keynote, or you walk into a meeting room. What you gonna do if you fluff your lines the first, "Oh, sorry, let me go out again, I'll start again." They're gonna look at you like, "What? Nah, you ain't gonna do that." You know,
It's
you're gonna
why I
crack
like
on. You
I'm a
got
massive fan of love. It's why I don't edit any of these because I don't I just want it to be, us having a conversation. And if we had to make it perfect, that wouldn't work. I have a podcast that we started this year. We don't script anything because actually that would make it really bad and it take us forever and we have not got time.
mhm.
We just want to rock up, record it for 30 minutes and go home. And that's kind of that ability to do that. And I don't think that comes with confidence. I think that that's just going, do you know what? We just need to get it done and get out, get it out and actually not and being okay with it being real.
Yeah, I think there is an element of confidence to that, the confidence to be comfortable with that.
Yeah, that is true.
Um, but I think that comes from through the practice, you get to the point where you go, "You know what? Nobody's judging it. Nobody cares." It's
And
all and just putting it out there because you know that what you've said is true to you,
and as it says on my wall, I care more about my clients than I do my own fears.
like that.
Because I'm like, and they need to hear this message. They need to hear this today in this way, or they need to hear this again in another way. But I
Yeah,
care more about them than I do my own fears. And it's
love
been on
that.
my wall for years. You've
I
got one
love
more
that.
on here, and we might have
Yeah.
touched on it, but I want to make sure that we have honoring your unique gifts. And I think you did touch on it when
Yes.
if you can't answer the question, what are you good at? Go and ask people, go and look at your testimonials. But I wanted to come back to that and just see if there was anything else that you wanted to add to that because it's a really powerful thing to that And I think this does take confidence, is that you really have to step into who you really are and what you truly believe to
Massively.
be able to honor those gifts.
I think it really does. I think if I look back at like the sort of people I've been working with this past year, I would say 99% of them had spent a lot of their lives jumping, trying to kind of shoehorn themselves into someone else's boxes and conceptions of what were normal and what was okay. And now, in all fair play to them, they're like, nah, balls to this. This is me. This is what I'm about, and I'm showing up. And if you're going to fit into any box, make it your box.
And you read my mind there because I was thinking, normal is whatever normal is for you. That's what it is. But I like that. If you're going to fit into a box, fit into your own box.
And make it spangly.
Oh, yes, we like a bit of spangly. Now then, Ash, it has been an absolute pleasure talking to you and easy like I knew it would be. So if anyone's been listening today and went, oh, I need to get some of Ash in my life. I need to, go from that grimacing to smiling and confident on camera. Where do they find you? Now, I will put these links under the video so people can find them. But where should people come look for you?
Yes, my social media platform of choice is LinkedIn. You can usually find me getting up to all sorts of randomness on there.
I love
Uh,
your randomness on that.
and there's yep, my website's loudlyproudly.com. There is a free guide on there if you're wanting to get started just with a few little tips and tricks on videos. And yeah, if not, you can also book a call if you want to have a little chat. I offer free 30-minute conversations to just get you off and running with your videos. That's it.
Well, I will make sure that all of those links are below. Ash, it's been an absolute pleasure. We met through networking. And so far, my go-to experts, have been quite heavily focused on the female side. So I'm trying to address the balance. So thank you for helping me to address that balance. It has, da-da! It has been an absolute pleasure talking to you. And thank you for sharing your insights and your golden nuggets. And I hope that we've inspired just that one listener that's listening to us, inspired them to go and start using video, because you're absolutely right. It is how we can show up with authenticity, and it is, get confident with it. And it's one of the easiest ways, and it's quicker than writing a blog.
Oh, my life. And so, yeah. And I'll also add there, if you're thinking about updating your web cop, I guarantee you can thrash out about 20 videos in the time it's going to take you to write your hero statement. But
Try it, people. We challenge you.
the challenge is set.
Let us know how you manage. Ash, thank you so much. It has been an absolute pleasure.
Been awesome. Thank you for having me.